Welcome to this deep dive into the latest in AI, pulling from the AI Daily News Digest for April 15th, 2025. We've got some really interesting updates today.
Yeah, definitely a busy news cycle.
So we're going to cut straight to what matters. The newest GPT model, how search AIs are stacking up, some pretty potent open source options, and making AI run faster. Let's dive right into the buzz around OpenAI. GPT 4.1 is here.
It is, and it's definitely making waves. I mean,
Yeah.
right off the bat, the scale is, well, it's something else. The big number everyone's talking about, 1 million token context window.
A million token. Just pause on that for a second. That's a huge jump.
Huge. It's not just incremental. Think about feeding it, I don't know, transcripts from a whole day of meetings and getting a perfect summary. Or maybe really long-form creative writing, keeping characters consistent. Stuff that was tricky before.
Absolutely. The possibilities are kind of mind-boggling. And it puts out a lot, too. What was the output limit?
Yeah, maximum output is just over 32,000 tokens. So it can take in a ton and give back a substantial response.
Okay. But power like that, it usually comes with a price tag. What are we looking at?
There is a cost. Reported pricing is $2 per $1 million input tokens and $8 per $1 million output tokens.
Right. So if you're planning to use this heavily, you really need to budget for it. Those costs could ramp up fast.
Definitely a key consideration. You know, who gets to really leverage this? It might push people towards smarter prompting or maybe checking if a cheaper model works for simpler tasks.
Makes sense. And beyond the numbers, they're talking intelligence upgrades.
They are. Claims of being smarter than previous versions. One source flat out said it's smarter than 4.0.
Yes, that is a bold claim. And how do people get their hands on it? Is it in ChatGPT right away?
It seems like the primary route, initially at least, will be the API. So developers integrating it into their own apps.
Okay.
Some reports are suggesting it won't be directly in the standard ChatGPT interface at first. Maybe improvements will sort of trickle into GPT-4.0 there over time.
Right. Give developers first crack at it. That tracks.
Yeah, let them experiment, build things, find any kinks. Makes sense from a rollout perspective.
This is interesting. I saw some chatter about the internal development, code names.
Apparently, early test versions were called Quasar and Optimus. And word is they were topping the internal leaderboards at OpenAI.
So they knew they had something promising cooking for a while.
Looks like it. You know, it shows that iterative process. Lots of testing, different approaches under those code names before landing on 4.1.
And there was also talk about a GPT 4.5. Did that get rolled into this?
That's part of the discussion, yeah. Whether improvements planned for a maybe deprecated 4.5 ended up in 4.1. The lines can get a bit blurry with these internal versions.
Happens all the time in tech, right? Features shuffle around.
Exactly. Makes it a bit hard to follow the exact lineage from the outside sometimes.
And then there's another potential twist. Some folks are saying GPT 4.1 might just become GPT-4 Turbo eventually.
Yeah, that the improvements might just, become accessible through the existing GPT-4.0 model name.
Which could be simpler for users, maybe, but less clear what's actually running underneath.
Precisely. Clear versioning helps developers especially. If it all merges into Turbo, we'll have to see how they explain the specific upgrades.
We're already seeing tools jump on board, though. Aider, the coding tool.
Right. Aider v0.82.0 now supports GPT 4.1, and it includes a new patch edit format, which sounds like it might leverage that big context window.
Quick adoption like that is usually a good sign. Shows developers see the value.
It's a strong signal, yeah. When the tool makers integrate it fast, you know it's seen as important.
And it's not just OpenAI directly, OpenRouter.
Yep. OpenRouter's launched GPT 4.1 too, plus smaller ones, a 4.1 mini and a 4.1 nano. They're highlighting the full one for long context reasoning.
Mini and nano versions, interesting. How do they compare?
Well, early tests, just on some prompts, mind you, suggest the full 4.1 and the 4.1 mini perform, maybe surprisingly, quite similarly.
Huh. So maybe the mini version is good enough for a lot of tasks. More cost-effective, perhaps.
Could be. It really shows you need to test and see what fits your specific need and budget.
Okay, so a lot happening on the GPT front. Power, cost, access, still unfolding. Let's switch gears. LM Search Arena Board. Sounds like some competition brewing there.
Definitely. Perplexity AI's model, Sonar Reasoning Pro High. Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Tied for first place, basically, with Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro Grounding. This is on the LM Arena's specific search arena benchmark.
Tied with Gemini. Wow, that's impressive. Perplexity is really holding its own.
Well,
what were the scores?
Super close. Like 1136 for Sonar, 1142 for Gemini. Practically a photo finish.
Wow, just a hair's breadth. And Perplexity has a theory on why they did so well.
They do. They're claiming Sonar performed strongly because it accessed and processed, quote, 2-3x more sources during its search.
Ah, so it's not just the model, but how much information it's looking at, deeper search.
Exactly. It highlights that the whole system matters. The retrieval part, how it gathers info, is just as crucial as the language model analyzing it. Perplexity's approach of using more sources seems to be paying off for search tasks.
It really shows different paths to success, not just bigger models, but better data integration. Okay, let's move to open source, GLM-4. Sounds like they've been busy.
I'm very busy. GLM-4 version 0.412 is out, and it's not just one model. 6 new ones.
6? Wow. What are the variations?
They come in 2 sizes, 9 billion and 32 billion parameters. And then within each size, you have versions with or without specialized reasoning and something they call rumination capabilities.
Okay, so lots of options depending on what you need. Any standouts?
Well, the GLM Z132B0412 is interesting. It's pitched as a reasoning model with deep thinking capabilities, built on their previous 32B model, but with extra training on math, code, logic. Sounds pretty robust.
Deep thinking. Definitely a feature people want. What about rumination? That sounds different.
That's the GLM Z1 Rumination 32B0412. It's also a deep reasoning model, but the rumination part suggests it's built for more complex, maybe open-ended problems. Problems where it might need to sort of refine its thinking over multiple steps.
Like it thinks things over more iteratively.
That seems to be the idea, yeah, for really tricky stuff.
Interesting. And they have a smaller one too, the 9 billion parameter model.
Yes, the GLM Z19B0412. And despite being smaller, it uses the same advanced training techniques. Reports say it performs really well on math and general tasks, ranking high for its size.
A powerful lightweight option then, that's always welcome.
Definitely. It's seen as surprisingly capable for a 9B model. Good for people with maybe less compute power or needing faster results.
So across the board, these new GLM models are showing improvements. Math, writing.
Yeah, significant improvements reported in mathematical abilities, generating research-style writing, and just handling complex tasks generally. Feels like a solid step up for the GLM family.
But there was a technical detail that caught some eyes. Something about heads.
Yes. The new 32B models only have 2 kV value heads.
Only 2. That sounds low. What does that mean practically?
Well, kV heads affect the size of the kV cache. That's key for handling long inputs efficiently. Fewer heads mean a smaller cache, maybe 4 times smaller than, say, Quinn 2.532B's cache.
Okay, so smaller cache. Is that good or bad?
It's a trade-off. Good for memory efficiency, might run on less powerful hardware, but it raises questions about how well it'll handle really long context inputs. Less cache might limit that.
Fascinating. Efficiency versus long context prowess? Different design choices?
Exactly. And, someone commented that GLM models have often been strong technically, even back in the Llama 1 days, but maybe lacked the Western marketing push.
Ah, so maybe technically brilliant, but less well-known than they could be.
Potentially. Hopefully this strong release gets them more visibility, including the Super GPQA benchmark results helps too, makes comparisons easier.
Yeah, those standard benchmarks are crucial for the community to gauge things objectively. All right, final topic. DeepSeek and AI inference. Sounds like a big move for open source.
A very big move. DeepSeek has open-sourced its inference engine.
An inference engine. Okay. Why is that such a big deal?
Because a really good inference engine makes running the AI models much faster and more efficient. There could be a huge boost, especially for, smaller companies or individual developers who can't build these optimized engines themselves.
Like giving everyone a performance upgrade kit. Nice. Is it their entire engine, though, or more like contributions?
That's being discussed. The feeling seems to be it's more about contributing their optimizations to existing popular engines. Things like VLLM, Sklang.
Oh, okay.
Their own internal version might not even be the most current. So they're improving the tools people are already using.
Making the existing open source options even better still sounds like a win.
Oh, definitely. And we're hearing they're porting optimizations to VLLM, Llama.cpp, Kobold. That means potentially faster performance for lots of local AI projects.
That's great for hobbyists and researchers. How's the community reacting?
Overwhelmingly positive. Huge appreciation for the open source commitment. Someone even compared their importance to Wikipedia for the AI space.
Wow, Wikipedia level, that's high praise. Shows the perceived value.
It really does. And, ties into another point. Some see the release of DeepSeek's own R1 model earlier as a key moment, signaling strong alternatives emerging beyond the usual big names like OpenAI, Claude, Gemini.
Right. Diversification is healthy. More players pushing innovation.
Exactly. And DeepSeek backing open source strengthens that position.
And platforms are already using these optimizations, like OpenRouter again.
Yep. OpenRouter added DeepCoder 14B Preview, that's a code generation model, as a free option. And it explicitly notes it has DeepSeek optimizations.
So people can try it out easily. Good move.
It is, lets people see the benefits. And OpenRouter also has those Skywork RR1 models
I saw those.
trained on top of DeepSeek models.
Yeah, trained on DeepSeek R1 Distill Q models. And they're showing really strong math and coding performance, sometimes even rivaling DeepSeek's own R1. So DeepSeek's work is kind of lifting other boats, too. A ripple effect.
Seems like it. But it's not all simple. This inference engine news also sparked discussion about smaller providers.
Oh, concerns.
Yeah, concerns that maybe smaller AI service providers might struggle to configure these advanced engines properly. You need expertise to really tune them.
Right. So having the tool isn't enough if you can't set it up optimally. Could lead to performance issues.
That's the worry. Suboptimal configurations could mean users don't get the full speed or efficiency benefits.
And different engines might support different specific optimizations, too.
Looks that way. Like, Sklang apparently supports DeepSeek's expert parallel optimization, but VLLM doesn't currently. So your choice of engine matters for getting specific DeepSeek benefits.
Okay, so the inference landscape is getting more powerful, but also maybe more complex to navigate perfectly.
That sums it up well. Rapidly evolving, lots of potential, but requires staying informed.
Well, that was quite the whirlwind of updates just from this week. It's almost hard to keep up.
It really is. The pace is just incredible right now.
So wrapping up for the learner listening in, what are the big takeaways? We've got GPT-4.1 bringing massive context, though details on access are still firming up.
Right. And Perplexity, showing strong competition in AI search, highlighting different strategies work.
Then GLM-4 is pushing open source capabilities, especially in reasoning and efficiency.
And DeepSeek's making waves by open sourcing inference tech, which could boost performance for many.
And if you zoom out just a tiny bit, think about this week also having news about Hugging Face buying a robotics company, open source humanoids, tech giants partnering on embodied AI.
It all connects. These model advancements fuel robotics. Embodied AI needs smarter models. The convergence is happening fast.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. As these models get smarter, more specialized, and easier to run, thanks to things like DeepSeek's contributions, how does that change knowledge work? Creative work? What new tools, what new workflows are just around the corner that we haven't even imagined?
That's the big question, isn't it? The potential feels enormous.
Keep exploring, keep asking those questions. We'll definitely keep diving deep into it all.